Hi, happy Thursday. Hope you got a little snow in your neighborhood. I want to show you the next block for February, and that is called the Tennessee Two-Tone. So here is the block, and I always say it's easy, but then you guys get mad at me when I say it's easy. So the main thing I want to show you today will be how to use one of the rulers. So on your cutting instructions, I want you to, as always, on your two prints, which in the case of mine are the orange and the turquoise, you check yours off the chart. I want you to cut the 3.5 inch strip by 21 first for both of the big ones, and then go ahead and cut the 1.5 inch strip. And then when you cut the backgrounds, the same thing. Cut your 3.5 inch first, and then cut your strips 2.5 for the remaining balance of that piece. All right. So what you're going to do with your backgrounds is you're going to have your background piece that is 2.5. And you're going to sub that into 3 sizes, okay, 4.5, 10.5, 6.5. But you can check that on your book on page 18. Now, here's the thing. This quilt book was written so that people were using a lot of different backgrounds, so you would be mixing and matching these colors. So if you don't want to do the cutting and re-sewing together of the same pieces of fabric, it still gives some more interest. Just go ahead and cut that piece at 2.5 by 20, as it says right there in the book. Or you can sew it back together, and it needs to measure 20.5 inches. Okay, simple enough. Then you're going to take your 1.5 inch piece, and you're going to sew it to one of those you created. Then you're going to do it on the side of the other ones, the way it shows you right in the book. So you're sewing that 2.5 inch by 20 to a piece of each one of your prints. Now, moving on to the bottom instruction here on page 18, this is where you need to start paying attention to the direction you're sewing. So I have halves of my arrows done, but what we're going to do is take our 3.5 inch squares that it told you to cut from each print, and you're going to mark those with a diagonal line. And then you're going to place it on that corner, and then same way you're going to place one on this corner. And I can't stress enough for you to pay attention to these dashed lines and the direction you're going to sew. So the next thing you're going to do then is sew on those 2 lines. And when you do that, you'll end up with the one that looks like this, and this end an exact opposite for the other one I didn't do. So I think you can see that, and then press away towards the dark pieces. So now let's get into using the ruler for the remainder of completing the block. So what you're going to use today is the 45 half square triangle. And I wish I had this a few years ago, because it's really pretty handy. So it's going to tell you to cut 6 of these from your leftover 3.5 inch strip, which will have plenty of fabric to go ahead and do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut 4 from each one of your prints. So that would be these. But I have a little sample here I want to show you. So what I did was I have my 3.5 inch strips, and I'm doing this so I can do less monkey business later. I'm going to put my 2.5 inch strips right sides together. And then when I do that, all I have to do is line up this edge with the straight edge, and then go to the size that I'm making, which is a 3.5 inch half square triangle. So I'm going to cut it once, pull that away, whoopsie, pull that away, all right? And then this is a great time to have your turnable mat or something small that you can just flip around like this. And then I'm going to lay the ruler back down on there again and go ahead and cut that way. So you're going to do that 4 times. I have my 2 squares that I haven't touched. They were laid together. And my right sides are also together. So what I'm going to do is come over here to the machine. And I'm going to line that right up with my 1/4 edge. And today I am using my blade, my 1/4 inch foot with a guide, just to show you how handy that can be if you're having trouble keeping your 1/4 inch seam allowance. And yes, today my fingernails match my Epic too. In case you hadn't noticed yet, I just wanted to make sure you knew that it's possible to match your custom colors. Right, so cut. And then, whoops. Then you're going to go ahead, press to set the seam. Flip it open and press it the way it tells you in the book. So, just for an example. So, after you do that, you're going to have 4 of these. And you're going to have some that you sew just with your background, which is right here. And it's showing you which way to press. Okay, so then you just want to pay attention to the diagram. And it's going to show you how to lay these squares in and get an arrow. If you put them in the wrong way, your arrow will likely not fly. So just go ahead and lay them there so you're making the tail. And there's going to be 2 of these on each one. You get that all set up just like this one, completed on this one, and then pew, right sides together. Sew that long seam and you are done, other than adding your borders on. So again, 45 degree triangle, half square triangle. Make sure you check your cutting. As always, cut the bigger pieces first. Did I mention cut the bigger pieces first, Gerald?
Yes.
Yes, I did say that. And check the directions of your diagonals before you sew. So there you go. Wasn't that easy? See you in the shop. Ciao.